You know we all have them. They're these invisible, totally automatic strategies that our minds use to protect us from, well, from the world. You can think of them as your own personal team of mental bodyguards, on duty 24/7. So, what exactly are they guarding us from? Let's find out.
Have you ever found yourself snapping at someone you love for, no good reason? Or maybe you've tried to convince yourself you never really wanted that job you didn't get. We all do these things that make us step back and go, wait, why did I just do that? The why behind all that? That's at the very heart of what we're talking about today.
So, what are they, officially? Well, defense mechanisms are your mind's automatic bodyguards. These are unconscious, and that's a key word, unconscious strategies we all use to shield ourselves from anxiety, from stress, from any situation that just feels like too much to handle in the moment. They're all about protecting our self-image and helping us get through the day. All right, so let's meet the first members of this security team. Their main tactic? It's basically misdirection. They take these big, difficult feelings that we can't face head on and just point them somewhere else entirely. First up is a classic, displacement. This is what happens when you feel a really powerful emotion, like anger, but you know that expressing it towards the actual source is a terrible idea. So your mind, clever as it is, finds a safer substitute target to take the hit. And this is the perfect example, right? Yelling at your boss could get you fired. That's a huge risk. So unconsciously, your brain reroutes all that angry energy towards a safer target. It could be your partner, your pet, or even just kicking a trash can. It's not logical, it's not fair, but in that moment it feels like a necessary release valve. Next in the lineup, we have projection. Now this one is fascinating. Instead of dealing with some uncomfortable feeling you have, your mind literally projects it onto somebody else. It's basically your brain saying, hey, I'm not feeling this, you are. Think about this one for a second. Admitting to yourself, I really don't like this person, might make you feel guilty or like you're not a nice person. So to protect that self-image, your mind just flips the script. Suddenly, it's not that you dislike them, it's that they obviously dislike you. The feeling is still there, but now it's their problem, not yours. So let's just nail down the difference here. Displacement is like misdirecting a package. The anger was addressed to your boss, but you deliver it to your spouse instead. Projection, on the other hand, is like finding a package you don't want, walking over to someone else and saying, I think this is yours. You're not just redirecting the feeling, you're making it their feeling entirely. But, what if just redirecting the feeling isn't going to cut it? Well, the next group of bodyguards have a totally different strategy, mental escape. These are the tricks our minds use to create some serious distance when reality just gets way too overwhelming. And that brings us to regression. When the pressures of being an adult get to be too much, the mind can literally retreat to an earlier, simpler time. It's an unconscious trip back to childhood, where things felt safer and we felt more looked after. And hey, this is way more common than you might think. It could be binge-watching cartoons from your childhood, craving the mac and cheese your mom used to make, or, even cuddling a stuffed animal after a really brutal day. It's a retreat to a time when life just felt a whole lot simpler. Now, on the flip side, we have suppression. And I want you to pay really close attention to this key word, conscious. Unlike a lot of these other bodyguards, this one is a deliberate choice. You are actively, purposefully deciding to push a thought or a feeling aside for a little while. Oh, we've all done this. You've got a massive deadline at work, but you also just had a big fight with a friend. So you consciously decide to put a pin in it, to set aside the personal issues so you can focus. You're not pretending it doesn't exist, you're just tabling the motion. You're postponing it. So the difference here is all about awareness, right? Regression is like your mind's automatic emergency eject button. It sends you back to a safer time without you even realizing it's happening. Suppression, though, that's you consciously looking at a problem, putting it in a box and saying, I will open this later. One is an unconscious retreat, the other is a very conscious delay. Okay, for our final category, let's look at the most sophisticated bodyguards we have, the storytellers. These ones don't just redirect or delay reality. Oh no, they actually rewrite the entire story to make it way less threatening. And first up is rationalization. This is essentially the fine art of making excuses. When something happens that kind of dings our ego, we create a perfectly logical sounding reason for why it's actually fine or even a good thing. It's how we save face with ourselves. This is a classic. The real pain of rejection is thinking, I wasn't good enough. So our mind transforms that feeling into a proactive choice. You know what? I didn't even want it. It was beneath me. It's a comforting story that protects us from the sting of failure, the old sour grapes defense. Next up is its cousin, intellectualization. This is where we strip all the emotion out of a stressful situation by treating it like it's some kind of academic problem to be solved. We analyze it, we research it, we theorize about it, all from a cold, detached perspective. This is a really powerful example. Instead of just sitting with the raw, messy, overwhelming pain of grief, a person might retreat into the data. They'll research the clinical stages of bereavement or focus entirely on the logistics of the funeral. That focus on facts creates this analytical buffer against a flood of emotions they're not ready to feel. And now for the most direct, most blunt bodyguard of them all, denial. This isn't about reframing or postponing reality. This is about putting up a solid brick wall and just refusing to acknowledge that reality even exists.
I mean, the evidence can be staring you right in the face. Friends are concerned, your health is suffering, but in a state of denial, the mind just says, nope, not happening, nothing to see here. It's an incredibly powerful, though often very dangerous way to avoid a painful truth.
What's really interesting is how these three storytelling mechanisms can work together, like a series of defensive walls. The first and strongest wall is denial. There is no problem. If that wall starts to crumble under the weight of evidence, the next one pops up, rationalization. Okay, fine, there's a problem, but it's not that bad, or it's not really my fault. And if even that starts to feel flimsy, the final defense is intellectualization. Okay, let's just analyze this problem logically and not get all emotional about it.
So, after meeting this whole team of mental bodyguards, the big question is, are they good for us? Are they bad for us? And the answer, like with most things in psychology, is, well, it's complicated.
So, helpful or harmful? The truth is, they're both. Think of them like psychological first aid. They are absolutely essential for getting us through a crisis in the short term. But if we start using them every day for every little problem, our shields can start to feel more like prisons. They protect us from pain, sure, but they also stop us from ever actually healing the wound underneath. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important question, the one you have to ask yourself, because we all use these strategies. So which of your mind's bodyguards are truly protecting you, and which ones, just maybe, might be holding you back? It's definitely worth a second look. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.